what it means to be off-grid. Now, from my perspective, being off-grid is not the same as what other people seem to think it is. Other people seem to think it's doing certain things the hippie way, but then doing other things a different way. For example, this video is entitled Martin Johnson, Off-Grid Living, the Truth About Off-Grid Living, blah, 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 blah. It's basically their off-grid from their perspective, but they use gas that they go and buy and then put in a tank. So every year they'll go and buy gas and fill up a outside tank. If I can find the tank.
You want some off-grid?
So it's, to me, that's not off-grid. If you've got to go and buy gas from somebody else and then bring it to your place, you're not off-grid. And that's what they do. They pay someone to come and fill the gas tank up. That's not off-grid to me. From my perspective, from their perspective, yes. But from my perspective, it's not off-grid if you have to have contact with the outside world. Now, I don't want to live in a cave with no electric and no internet. I want to have my modern amenities. I want to have my modern stuff. But I don't want to have contact with the outside world. For me, the whole point of being off-grid is that, like getting an island. That's the idea. I mean, yeah, I can go and take my money. I can go and buy an island off the coast of Mullintyre for £25,000. It's like a 4-acre island up there. You can buy one for, very small money, but you can't do anything with it because that's where Paul McCartney lives. So, and no one's allowed to live in the same area as him. He's that paranoid. But then 90 years doing drugs. So, for me to be off-grid would be to have all my mod cons, all my amenities, all the rest of it, but to only have contact with the outside world if I choose to. So I've got my different forms of power supply. Your priorities of being off-grid is location. So you need a place that you can have that is secure, that you feel safe. So an island or a house or something. So you've got your location sorted out, some place where you can sleep, some place where you can live. Next is a water supply. You have to have a good water supply. Next is food. That's your essentials. That's it. Everything else, like a toilet, plumbing, electric, those are a bonus. Now, there are many ways you can have a power supply that is not going to wear out in your lifetime. Going things like solar panels, they wear out after 10, 15 years if you don't get hit by a hailstone. You get hailstones hit you, they break. You get a stone blow up and hit it, they break. And if they don't break, they wear out. And if you get a solar flare or unusual solar activity like you get every day, they wear out. So I'm not exactly a fan of solar panels as a primary source. Now, having them that you can cover up for an emergency, that's different. But things like wind turbines, they generally last anywhere between 15 and 50 years. If you get the ones that are brushless, they last even longer. You could have hydroelectric. There's other ways you can generate energy. You can use the sea, you can use wave power. Those aren't as commercially viable because they are better for the environment. But there's ways you can have power that will do you for 100 years. You get yourself 2 hydroelectric generators or half a dozen little wind turbines, the 100 quid ones. You don't have to use them all at the same time. You use them, they wear out, switch on the other one. For £1,000, you can have a power supply sorted out for 100 years, as long as you've got wind and water. If you haven't got water, you're screwed anyway. So yeah, I like to have the option to pop across to the mainland for a takeaway, but I don't want to have to do it. The way that these people work, I'll put it to you like this. My mentality is this. If the rest of the world were to blow up, zombie apocalypse, whatever, the world were to go back to the Stone Age, would my lifestyle change on my off-grid island? If the answer is yes, then you're not off-grid. They're not. I don't see them as being off-grid because if the outside world goes kaput, how are they going to get gas? if they can't go and pay someone to deliver it? How are they going to get coal? How are they going to get fuel? Because you can't, that wood they've got there is no good to sustain you for firewood. I know this. I've lived in evergreen woodland. I spent nearly like 15 years in evergreen woodland in Ireland. You cannot, it is shit for burning. It takes more energy to cut, and it basically is a death trap because you have to dry it for several years, or the sap will basically burn the house down in the chimney. So if that is a basic premise I work on, if the outside world dies, is it going to change the way that I live? I mean, yes, I need contact initially. I need to be able to buy things like polytunnel plastic, things where I can actually build something whereby I can have a self-contained ecosystem of my own. For example, if I've got an island, that gives me access to the sea. If I have access to the sea, I can create a covered area to increase the ambient temperature, get some half-decent seaweed, grow that, and use it as a base to feed goats, to feed myself, to use it as a compost, to grow mushrooms, to compost it and grow other things. Once you've got your base, you can build upon it. The base would be the sea. Sea, seaweed. Seaweed, food. You can also use it to grow other things, like wood for emergency fuel, to grow stuff, to build things. So my mentality of being off-grid, if the outside world gets cut off, will it affect your life and your lifestyle? Another good example, I went through all their videos up until about 2 months ago. The Off-Grid Family UK, I think it was called. They're obviously being funded by America to make people think, I can't believe that anyone is that stupid, to make people think it is too financially unviable to go off-grid. And they don't even have a water supply or a power supply or a food supply that sustains them. So they're not off-grid because they're 100% dependent on the outside world. A quick video, 10 minutes. So basically the idea for me is that if you're off-grid and you have no contact with the outside world, is your lifestyle going to change? Are you having to buy things from other people? It's no good you saying, oh, we're not on mains gas, if you're still buying gas from the gas companies. You can't say you're off-grid because you don't have mains electric if you're paying someone to bring you electric. You can't say you're off-grid from the big pharma food companies if you're buying food and bringing it to you. Off-grid means cutting yourself off from the main grid, from other suppliers.